Hi, my name is Lily House-Peters, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to share my presentation as part of the UC CSU Nearly Carbon Neutral Conference. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Geography and affiliated faculty in the Environmental Science and Policy program at California State University, Long Beach, better known as Cal State Long Beach or CSULB. Pertinent for this presentation, I also serve as the first Resilience Commitment Coordinator at CSULB. In this presentation, I will introduce the Resilience Commitment and discuss the experience of implementing the commitment at CSULB, where we are trying to take seriously the principles of climate justice to ensure that through activities to enhance climate resilience, we are recognizing diversity, power inequalities, existing environmental and social injustices, and the ways that climate risks will differentially affect communities and segments of the population in our region. I will begin by comparing the core organizing principles of climate resilience and climate justice and discussing the existing scholarly critiques of resilience as a concept. I will then describe the sustainability goals of the CSULB campus and how signing the Resilience Commitment helped us reframe how the campus approaches sustainability and how we are working to integrate an understanding of climate resilience informed by climate justice principles into community outreach and engagement, developing new institutional partnerships, and in our curriculum and research opportunities. Climate resilience draws on resilience thinking, which focuses on how interacting systems of people and nature can best be managed in the face of disturbances, surprises, and uncertainty. Climate change will continue to amplify the scale and magnitude of climate shocks, which disrupt everyday lives and ecosystem health and function. Thus, the development and enhancement of local resilience is an urgent priority. A key concern of resilience is to strengthen the capacity to absorb shocks and bounce back quickly. But beyond just bouncing back, resilience is about being able to thrive in the face of climate risks and climate change. Resilience thinking encourages us to accept rather than reject unpredictability and uncertainty, and critically, to acknowledge and integrate a multitude of perspectives. Thus, a resilient community is not just capable of absorbing impacts and change, but using those changes to develop more positive and regenerative capacity, the ability to self-renew, while simultaneously becoming better able to prevent disruption. However, the concept of resilience has received much criticism in the academic literature, especially for what scholars argue is its inability to address normative questions such as resilience for whom, its lack of engagement with the operation of power, its general indifference towards processes of exploitation and dispossession, and its tendency to suppress and obscure social divisions and inequalities. Furthermore, critics argue that through its articulation with neoliberalism, resilience theories become linked with an ideology that privileges individualized, market-based solutions over collective political solutions, valorizes self-reliance and responsibility, favors discourses of competitiveness, securitization, devolution, and the need to promote economic growth, while reinforcing the ideal of the fundamentally self-interested individual. Taking seriously these critiques, at CSULB, we draw explicitly on principles of climate justice when putting the resilience commitment into action. In particular, the recognition of power dynamics, subjectivity, differentiation, and community activism in the climate justice scholarship produces new space to contemplate more equitable and progressive alternative social ecological futures. We recognize that for futures to be actionable, first they must be imaginable. And the very processes of imagining and enacting new social ecological futures are deeply political, provoking both discursive and material struggles, and revealing fracture lines that can divide communities. As a framework, climate justice is informed by science, dedicated to action, concerned with human rights, and committed to equitable stewardship of the world's resources. Climate justice is working at the intersections of environmental degradation and the racial, social, and economic inequities these perpetuate. Thus, in putting the resilience commitment into action, We are drawing on foundational principles from both climate resilience and climate justice, as you can see presented in this table. From climate resilience, flexibility is extremely important as it facilitates adaptive planning and management that can accommodate a range of impacts and possibilities. It is easier to break a material when it is rigid and cannot bend when shocks occur. From diversity, redundancy, and inclusiveness, these principles help us understand that diversity is an advantage. It helps to reduce vulnerability to climate shocks, as systems with high diversity have been found to be more resilient than systems with fewer, less diverse components. Redundancy acts as an insurance policy by allowing some components of the system to compensate for the loss or failures of others. Like the old adage, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Inclusiveness asks us to broaden participation to build trust and shared understanding, fundamental ingredients for building successful collective action. Here we see a link to the principles of climate justice. Resilience also values network distributed systems with high interconnectivity. Learning is a key pillar of both resilience and climate justice. In resilience, adaptive processes require dynamic learning and knowledge sharing opportunities. It is imperative that regular opportunities exist to reflect and adapt based on new information and data. This allows actions to be responsive to changing knowledge or circumstances. Prevention and management are important as prevention blends mitigation activities that reduce the likelihood of climate disruption with management such as adaptation, which is the proactive anticipation of and regeneration in the face of change. And finally, polycentric governance helps us strive for a balance between radical openness and creating mandates for decision-making. Here we have multiple governing bodies collaborating to determine policies for flexible solutions in the face of disturbance. In the second column, under climate justice, we see participatory, transparent, and accountable decision-making as one of the founding principles of climate justice. Here, the voices of the most vulnerable must be heard and acted upon. In terms of sharing benefits and burdens equitably, we turn our attention to the ethical obligation to fairly allocate burdens and share in the benefits with those who are suffering and most vulnerable. Like learning in the climate resilience category, here we see education as extremely important to climate justice, especially harnessing the transformative power of education to develop climate stewardship and invite reflection on ethics and justice. Gender equality and equity, especially listening to the voices of women and female identifying persons and their priorities, is extremely important. And finally, partnerships, which is a central part of the resilience, putting the resilience commitment into action. Here we see the importance of using effective partnerships to secure climate justice through the pooling of resources, aligning goals and sharing skills, and based on an openness to forming coalitions and partnerships, which is a vital aspect of this approach, and must involve partnerships with those most affected by climate change and least able to adequately deal with it. Now that we've set kind of the conceptual stage for how we're approaching climate resilience and how we're integrating climate justice into that approach, I'd like to just quickly show you the climate action timeline that our campus has been following. We've been working on climate action since 2010, when a group of faculty organized to call for climate leadership on campus. In 2011, our previous president, Alexander, signed the Second Nature Carbon Commitment, which led to the formation of a sustainability task force on campus and the first comprehensive greenhouse gas emissions inventory, which was completed in 2013, and the second emissions inventory, which was completed in 2015. In 2016, our current president, Jane Connolly, signed the Second Nature Resilience Commitment, making CSULB a charter signatory to the climate commitment. This is the umbrella commitment that contains both the carbon and resilience commitments. Signing the climate commitment shifted the university's focus from the first wave of climate action, focused specifically on greenhouse gas mitigation, to a dual focus on adaptation and mitigation. One important outcome of the climate commitment has been the setting of an aggressive target date to reach climate neutrality on campus. In this case, the date for our campus is 2030. To reach climate neutrality by 2030, an interim target date was set to reduce carbon emissions to 30,000 metric tons by 2020, which the university plans to achieve through a And just to give a quick snapshot of the CSULB campus, we are a large commuter campus located about 25 miles south of downtown LA on 323 acres. You can see in these pictures. We have a student population of approximately 38,000 with an additional 6,000 faculty and staff. The large footprint of the university and the large population create almost a small city in terms of energy and water consumption and the production of solid waste. The university spends about $8 million annually consuming the electricity of approximately 6,000 homes, the equivalent natural gas of an additional 2,000 homes, and the water of 7,500 homes due to the large amount of grass landscaping, which you can see in these pictures. The campus produces about 5,000 tons of solid waste, which is equivalent to 1,500 homes. So, the resilience commitment sets forth a 3-year plan. In year 1, we have worked to identify potential partners and coalition members and to develop those relationships, ensuring the alignment of campus and community climate action goals to facilitate joint action. This has required increased engagement, outreach, and collaboration between the campus and the community than previously was occurring, with our goal to form a campus community coalition focused on enhancing local climate resilience. In the second year, the university will conduct a climate resilience assessment. This is the phase that we're entering now. This is a multi-stage process that requires the identification of local climate risks and hazards, the creation of resilience indicators that can measure across different domains of resilience, including human health and wellness, social, economic, natural ecosystem services, and physical infrastructure, assessing existing areas of strength and vulnerability, and prioritizing hazards and proactive planning. The goal of this process is to work with community stakeholders to create irresistible and sustainable momentum through which collaborative and routine action can occur over time. Finally, in the third year, a key list of measurable priority items resulting from the second year assessment will be incorporated into the campus's climate action plan. The development of the campus community resilience indicators and climate action priorities creates measurable objectives that can be assessed on a yearly basis in addition to our annual greenhouse gas emission inventory. Working closely with the City of Long Beach, 5 priority local climate change risks have been identified. The first is an increased occurrence of drought and the resulting water shortages that would come from that. Second, we're expecting increased occurrence of extreme heat days with higher temperatures and a larger number of exceptionally hot days than we currently experience. In Long Beach, this is especially a problem because most people do not have air conditioning in their homes, and we do not have air conditioning in many of our dorms in some of our campus academic buildings. Third, we're expecting deteriorating air quality in what is already one of the worst air pollution areas in the state of California. Fourth, we anticipate increased incidence of coastal flooding due to rising sea levels and stronger storm surges. And fifth, we are concerned about public health crises and increased social vulnerability due to these climate risks and the already existing social economic landscape in Long Beach. So, what the resilience commitment has really forced us to do is to rethink the borders and boundaries of our campus. In expanding our focus to adaptation to climate change and climate-based risks, the resilience commitment creates an imperative to expand our campus borders, to think, plan, and engage beyond the physical boundary of our campus, a key shift in thinking and action for our campus, which previously functioned much more as an island unto itself, rather than a well-integrated aspect of the community and the larger region. As we assess the local climate risks, it is clear that our student populations will be unevenly impacted. This recognition has shifted how we think about the relation of the campus to local communities and has opened space for asking new types of questions around how and where we focus our community outreach and engagement to ensure the university can continue to serve our students in the face of climate-induced risks and hazards. In the map I've produced based on student residential data, you can see that our students hail from a much wider geographic area than just Long Beach, with large populations coming from multiple cities across 2 counties, both LA County and Orange County. As I said earlier, we are primarily a commuter campus, though we are looking to expand dorms in the coming future as part of our climate action goals. So this network map that I've created during our campus community coalition building efforts represents the campus community coalition we've built over the last year around climate action planning and enhancing resilience. At the campus level, this is a highly interdisciplinary effort with participation from across the colleges on campus and across different administrative branches. At the local City of Long Beach scale, we've developed partnerships with the Aquarium of the Pacific, which is located in downtown Long Beach, the city departments of sustainability and planning in the local government, the Port of Long Beach's Environmental Department, our local community college, and multiple NGO groups, including Citizens Climate Lobby, 350.org, Los Cerritos Wetlands Land Trust, and environmental and social justice-based groups. At the regional and state levels, building partnerships has been more challenging, but working with other California universities who are also signatories of the resilience commitment, and networks such as this, the CSU and UCKAN, have helped us to think in new and innovative ways about developing outreach and engagement strategies and building more collaborative networks. So in practice, what have we been doing as part of our resilience commitment activities? On the curriculum side, the Green Thread Workshops is a program that teaches faculty ways to integrate sustainability into their curriculum. This program actually came out of Emory University, and on our campus has been happening for the last 3 years. So it actually comes before we sign the resilience commitment, but is now integrated into our larger kind of climate action priorities on campus. So far, 75 faculty participants have attended the workshop, and 25 or more sustainability courses have been modified or created for students. And the goal of the Green Thread workshops is to rethink sustainability rather than have it be an add-on or just a module in your class or a couple of course concepts that you integrate. What this workshop and this model asks faculty to do is to rethink their curriculum so that sustainability is the lens through which their course is taught. And the ultimate goal is for us to actually rethink higher education itself so that sustainability becomes the lens through which the entire higher education experience is framed, ultimately producing what we call sustainability literate graduates. In my own classes, I've integrated climate resilience and climate justice into 2 courses. In my university honors program course, Sustainability and Technology in Los Angeles, students spend the semester learning the tools and methods in order to assess climate resilience and climate justice across different scales for projects that are going to possibly affect their lives and our planet. So for example, and you can see here the students' posters that they created for a sustainability research conference. At the local level, students were tackling issues such as fracking, a large beachside pool project that's slated for development in Long Beach, and composting as an alternative to Long Beach's current process of incinerating garbage. At the regional scale, students assess the climate resilience and justice around desalination projects, Dakota Access and Keystone pipelines, and other kind of larger scale projects. And we even looked at the planetary scale, assessing whether geoengineering is actually a resilient and just approach. The students concluded that it is not. And these students, I should mention, this is a required course for freshmen in the university honors program. At the junior-senior level, we have a course that is a capstone service learning course for the Environmental Science and Policy Program in the Geography Department, Climate Action and Sustainability at CSULB. I did not teach this course, but I did supervise service learning students. And the service learning students I supervised worked over the course of the semester to research and develop campus resilience assessment indicators. This is key because campus resilience indicators do not yet exist. And so we wanted the students to help us co-develop the ways that they would like to measure resilience across the campus, as well as in the community. We also partnered with the Aquarium of the Pacific to run a 2-day workshop titled Climate Resilience Leadership Building Workshop. This engaged over 50 faculty, students, staff, and community members. And what I want to point out about this is that we used a values-based framing for this workshop. Rather than asking participants to prioritize the changes they would like to see, we asked them to reframe their understanding of climate change adaptation, to first reflect on the values they hold most dear, such as you can see on this poster that came out of the workshop: family, friends, community, life, health, opportunity, safety, security. These are the types of values that participants were interested in. We then asked them to contemplate how best to protect and strengthen these values through adaptation planning to climate change. This inclusive framework created radical space for participants from very diverse backgrounds to recognize common core values as a foundation for beginning the collaboration to then build and determine and imagine future priorities and approaches. We felt like this really helped us to break through political boundaries, as well as other types of barriers that often act to really derail these types of conversations in diverse groups. Rather, these values act as boundary objects upon which everyone in the room can begin to think through how they want to protect these specific values, which tend to be pretty common to lots of different people. This gave us good common ground to move forward into the harder work of how it is we're going to adapt our systems in the future in our society to actually be able to maintain these values in a changing climate. Community outreach and engagement has also been an essential part of this first year of the resilience commitment. You can see in the top picture, this was during our campus community sustainability mixer. In the center is our university president, Jane Connolly, flanked on two sides by students who are active in student government and sustainability. This mixer allowed us to bring together community and campus partners to discuss sustainability in a really nice kind of informal setting in our Japanese garden on campus. The bottom picture shows me giving a presentation to our Long Beach Sustainable City Commission. And so we've been working with the government, the local municipal government, in order to inform them of what we're doing on campus, what our goals are, how we are measuring resilience and working towards prioritizing new programs and ways to create a more resilient campus. So this has been a really good way for us to work closely and build these partnerships and bonds with local government officials as well, which previously did not exist in a very kind of institutionalized way. And you can see there the word map. We actually asked community what they see as a resilient campus and community. And you can see some of the responses, but definitely a lot of emphasis on flexibility, on being climate literate, on more solar, more trees, less driving, less parking, more net zero, and importantly, cross-cultural connections, role models, long-term strategies, and rethinking some of our kind of basic relationships to our resources. So these are some of our other kind of principles that we found a lot of common understanding around. And finally, I want to mention about research that we're partnering with other institutions to conduct, which is in line with our resilience goals. So Operation Healthy Air is a citizen community science project that is partnered between the Aquarium of the Pacific, UC Riverside, and an NGO, the Earthwatch Institute. And we are working with this group to study the relationship between temperature, trees, and urban landscape to help enhance our urban resilience, especially with temperatures and temperature sensors and ozone, air pollution sensors, being put across Long Beach at a very fine scale so that we can look at more differentiation between neighborhoods and better understand how people are experiencing air pollution and heat, which are two of our large challenges for the future. And just in conclusion, a future direction that we're currently working towards is becoming an EPA EPIC partner campus. EPIC stands for Educational Partnerships for Innovation in Communities. And this program, which is funded through Environmental Protection Agency and has been very successful on a number of California campuses, including San Diego State University, works to link students with local government to conduct applied research projects, coordinating engagement between the university and these municipal partners to create transformative opportunities for students, faculty, and community partners to collaborate to solve real-world problems. So we're hoping to leverage the partnerships that we've been creating through our work with the Department of Sustainability and the Department of Planning, as well as the Department of Transportation and Department of Water at City of Long Beach, in order to really use student and faculty applied research to tackle some of the big climate resilience issues that we're facing here in Long Beach. So we see this as a wonderful kind of way to meld our partnerships, our collaborations, as well as applied research opportunities for our undergraduate and graduate students, all under this bundle of climate resilience. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. This is my contact information. You can see my email as well as telephone there. I'm happy to discuss, and I look forward to discussing with everyone who's interested in the resilience commitment or even ways of trying to integrate climate resilience and climate justice goals on campus in research, curriculum, and community outreach. We feel like this has been a very successful first year under our resilience commitment, and we're very happy to kind of share how we've been doing this work. Thank you so much. Goodbye.